Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be giving you guys my outlook on the Washington Commanders linebacker room. We're going to be going through each player, talking about expectations for them this year, what their role will be, and if they will be making the roster, and also talk about why I really think the Washington Commanders need to add another linebacker to this group. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Now let's get right into it. And guys, just a quick heads up, this is a pre-recorded video. You guys will be seeing this while I'm on vacation. So if anything crazy happens, like they sign another linebacker and I don't talk about it, that is why. So let's first go over the linebackers that they have on the roster. And it isn't pretty besides a couple. So the main guy, the best linebacker on the team by far in my opinion, is linebacker Cole Holcomb. And then you got Jamin Davis, who we're hoping is better this year, but we can't count on it for sure. I mean, I think we can count on him being better, but like he wasn't great last year. So the question is, how much better will he get? And then your other guy, your third linebacker, is David Mayo. And then after that, you got Kalik Hudson. And then really after that, it's just a bunch of like either, practice squad guys or undrafted free agents like Dejon Harris, Milo Eifler, Drew White, Trey Walker, Bryce Notary. I mean, it's not looking pretty, guys, after you really just Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis. So, I mean, I think they need to add another linebacker. We're going to talk about that after we go through each player, and we'll talk about some possible names that they could sign. And I think, so let's go ahead and start with Cole Holcomb, the best linebacker on this team, a very solid player. This is his fourth year, I believe, which is crazy. 240 pounds, 6'1", played at UNC and is 25 years old. You look at the stats, he's been really solid for the Commanders. 125 tackles this past year, had 1 sack, 2 interceptions, had that touchdown against Dallas, and also had 2 forced fumbles as well. He was really solid for the Commanders. And the thing is, he played Mike and played kind of on the outside like he usually does. So it's kind of hard when you're constantly switching back and forth from middle linebacker and outside. He didn't play amazing, in the middle. He was solid in the middle for sure, and much better than anything we had. That's why he was playing it. But he was better on the outside. So I'm interested to see this year how he is, at the Mike position. If that's in fact where they put him, I think that's where they will put him. But I'm definitely interested to see, how he does there. And, a lot of the times they're going to be playing in 2 linebacker sets, so there's really no true Mike per se, but he's still obviously going to be calling this, the plays and stuff like he did last year. Some stats from him: 11th most tackles in the NFL this past year, 2nd most pass breakups with 5, 4th most combined interceptions and forced fumbles, I believe, with 4, and a fantastic mullet, of course. So I really like Cole Holcomb. He seems like a great guy, a great leader. He could be a captain for them on this defense this year. And he also can get to the quarterback as well. I remember that play against Dallas in 2020 where he just blew up Zeke and got Andy Dalton. That was an amazing play. And he continues to improve year by year. And I think, some people don't think he deserves an extension yet. I think he does. I would give him an extension before maybe he has a breakout year this year, or not even a breakout year, but just a better year this year. And then you're really having to pay him a lot more. Give him like a 3-year extension like you did to Terry, so you're not so committed to him, but you have him under contract for another year, for some more years, because he is a very solid linebacker, and they haven't had a lot of those in the last few years. So excited to see what Cole Holcomb can do, but we kind of know at the very minimum he's going to be a solid player, but could be a very good player this year in his 4th year. Next guy, this is kind of honestly one of the X factors for this defense, and that is Jamin Davis, 1st round pick in 2021. This is his 2nd year, 23 years old, about 6'3", 234 pounds. Is super athletic. 4.4 something 40-yard dash, I believe. Also had a 40+ inch vertical leap, and you can't, there's no sugarcoating it. He definitely disappointed last year for sure. I mean, the stats don't matter too much, but about 68 tackles, had that sack in the Giants game, but really nothing much besides that, he didn't have that many impact plays. He had one solid tackle, I remember, in the first Giants game. He had a really solid, stop on 4th and 3 or something like that against the Bills. And then he had one really good play against the Giants. I think it was like an end around to CJ Board, and he stuffed it. That was a really, really nice play. But besides that, like, you didn't see really that many, flashy plays, those plays that you're like, okay, that's why we drafted Jamin Davis in the first round. Like, you didn't see that 4.4 speed much, or, that explosiveness. You didn't see that many big hits or any, you didn't see that much from him. And yeah, he was playing out of position, and that's on Ron and, the front office as well for, they thought he was a middle linebacker, and that's what, they played him at for most of the year until they realized he wasn't a middle linebacker. So he's going to be on the outside, and I think that will help a little bit going into this year, but like, he's just got to be better for sure, and they got to coach him up better. And I think expectations shouldn't be too high for him this year. Like, you shouldn't expect him to be a really good linebacker in a second year. Like, I would be okay if he's okay. Like, if he's a solid linebacker, like maybe a little bit worse than Cole Holcomb was last year, then like that is good enough for me. Like an average linebacker. I mean, Cole Holcomb was definitely better than average, but if Jamin Davis is average this year, that's a big step up from what he was in his rookie year, which was not even close to average. So if he can do that, I think that's a big jump. You got to remember, he, only started 1 year in college. He declared, after his junior season. And so he was always going to be a project, and now, he didn't play a ton in his rookie year for a first-round pick. Like, he still played in 16 out of the 17 games, but, like, there was games where he only played, like, 30-40% of the snaps. So, like, he's still a project. He's going to, and he switched positions as well, slightly from the middle to the outside. It's easier, but still, like, it's going to still an adjustment period for him. So, like, you can't expect him to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowl, in his second year. It's going to take a while, and, hopefully, though, him and Cole Holcomb can play well together. Like I said, Cole Holcomb is good. What you're getting from him. Jamin Davis is the X factor, though, because if he can play well, that is a huge improvement from what they had last year at the line, because they had Cole Holcomb, again, who was good, and they had like a combination of Bostic, Jamin Davis, David Mayo last year just were terrible. So if he goes to average, that is a huge step up, and that's a way that the defense could improve this year. I also think they should rush him, have him rushing the quarterback a little bit. There was times where he did it and he got some pressure. He got a sack against the Giants. I think they could use him more there as well. And he will be doing that more because he's playing on the outside this year. Next guy on this list, and it's sad that your third linebacker is David Mayo, man. It's just pathetic. 28 years old, 6'2", 240 pounds. And David Mayo isn't like terrible football player. Like, he's a good special teams guy, and like maybe your last linebacker on the roster. And that's what usually special teams guys are. You do not want him to be your third linebacker, a guy that if you are playing, they do play 2 linebacker sets most of the time. But there will be some times where they play 3 linebacker sets. And in those situations, David Mayo will be playing for you, or maybe even Kalik Hudson. But here's the thing, because I know there's going to be people saying they played 2 linebacker sets the whole time. Well, okay, and they'll say David Mayo's not going to have to play. Well, if Jamin Davis or Cole Holcomb get hurt, even for a game or two, David Mayo is playing 100% of the snaps. I do not want to be one injury away from David Mayo playing 100% of the snaps. I need to be at least 2-3 injuries away from David Mayo playing 100% of the snaps. And at this moment, if one of those guys gets hurt, he is playing every single snap because he can play middle linebacker. So, and he knows the defense, and that's great and all, but I want him on special teams and as a last resort, to be on the field, or maybe some, a few plays a game at the most, not 100% of, the snaps. And at this moment, that's what's going to happen if someone gets hurt. And even if someone doesn't get hurt, he's going to be playing a decent amount of snaps. Because they do play in 3 linebacker sets sometimes as well. And he's been sometimes in OTAs and minicamp playing over Jamin Davis, so I don't think that's going to happen. And Ron likes to kind of give reps to everyone, but still, like, that's not a good sign for Davis, but we will see. But I'm not a huge fan of David Mayo besides his special teams, and even then it's not elite, but he's a good special teams player for sure. Next guy on this list is Kalik Hudson. This is his 3rd season, 6 foot, 24 years old, 220 pounds. Played at Michigan, kind of that Viper role, linebacker / safety, but he's played more linebacker for them here. There was thoughts from, I think, Ron and some other people that he could possibly play that, Buffalo nickel position. Maybe he still can. I thought I had some big, higher expectations for him in his second year than other people did. And he started off the year hurt, I think on IR or something, once they made the 53-man roster, and then really was just slowed down from there. And didn't really do anything that crazy in, in training camp or the preseason anyways. So at this point, like, he's a backup. He's a backup at best. Who knows? Maybe he takes a leap in his third year. I don't know, but him and David Mayo are kind of competing for that third linebacker spot. But I think David Mayo obviously has the advantage because he's been with Ron before and he knows the defense better than Kalik Hudson does. But Kalik Hudson, I guess, could be a little bit more versatile. He's also going to be playing on special teams as well. He's solid there. Like in his rookie year, he was really solid on special teams, and when he had to play like against the Seahawks when we had a bunch of linebacker injuries, he was actually pretty good. So that's why I kind of had higher expectations for him. So those are kind of the four linebackers that I think, unless they sign a couple more, those guys for sure are going to be making the roster. Then you kind of look at the other guys. I think if I had to pick a linebacker right now to make it, I would probably say Trey Walker, just because been hearing some good things from him in OTAs and minicamp and stuff. But they could do the same thing they did last year and keep four linebackers, and then once they finish making roster moves, like maybe put Logan Thomas on IR or anything else, then they can sign another linebacker. That's what they did last year, but David Mayo didn't make the team last year. So think about that. Our linebacking core was terrible last year, and David Mayo didn't make the initial 53-man roster. And now he's our third linebacker. And even Jamin Davis, we don't know for sure that he's going to be okay. So we know Holcomb's going to be good. So I'm just really, really concerned about this linebacking core. I think they need to sign someone else. I think they don't need to sign a star or not even a star, but a really good linebacker or a solid linebacker Anthony Barr, Alexander Johnson, Quan Alexander, Dante Hightower, Joe Schobert. They can just sign AJ Klein, who is a borderline starter, but he played backup last year. But before that, played as a starter. He was playing behind some good linebackers in Buffalo last year, in Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. He is a good linebacker, and if you're playing those two linebacker sets, he can be the backup right there. And if not, if you're playing three linebacker sets, he can start there for you, and he's much, much better than David Mayo. Played for Carolina and Buffalo, so Ron Rivera loves that, and I just much rather have him than David Mayo. I still don't understand why they would ever want he's still out there. He's not going to cost much. He's going to be close to the minimum. Why not sign him? I just don't understand. I understand for some of the players like Quan Alexander, he's had some injury issues. There's some other guys that have off the field issues, and Anthony Barr has had some injury issues, but AJ Klein is significantly better than David Mayo, knows the defense, played for Ron before, played in Buffalo, and they haven't signed him yet. I would not be surprised at all if they signed him by the time this video is out. We will see. But yeah, some of the other linebackers, Milo Eifler was on the roster at some point last year. DeJohn Harris, those guys are kind of more veterans, so they could have a shot to make the roster. But I think, honestly, I would just predict them to keep four linebackers at this point, and then at the end, eventually sign another guy once after the 53-man roster is finalized. But yeah, an undrafted, if they keep five, an undrafted free agent is likely going to make it, whether it's Trey Walker, Bryce Notree, Drew White, and who knows. I don't know if Milo Eifler and DeJohn Harris are undrafted, but I wouldn't be surprised for sure. So let me know what you guys think about this linebacker room, and if you think we should sign someone else. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.